everyone, and welcome back. Today I'm going to talk to you about propagation. Not only about how I was successful in propagating Pinnacle Hydrangeas, successful also using the water method, but I'm going to talk to you about the secrets in being successful with either one of them, but how I was more successful in doing it by using this container. Now both of them work, but there is a secret to it, so stick around, let's talk about that. Last fall, I ended up getting some cuttings from a Pinnacle Hydrangea, and I wasn't very successful. Now I used both the water method, I used the sand method, and neither one of those were very successful. So I canned that idea. This year, in early spring, I decided to try something new. So I went and picked up some cuttings from the little lime Pinnacle Hydrangea. This is a very beautiful plant. And this spring I did 9 cuttings. I also tried the method of water. This here is a Himalayan Honeysuckle. This is a hummingbird catcher. It is beautiful. Now this is native to the European area. Now here in zone 8B and probably in the US where it is not native, this apparently is not invasive. Over there it isn't considered an invasive plant. But it is a gorgeous, gorgeous plant, and I can't wait for you guys to see it. This is becoming successful in water. So, what you're going to need is you're going to need containers. I do this 4-inch containers because every time I buy plants, I collect them. And I already have just regular topsoil from any bag. And it's nothing fancy. It doesn't have perlite in it. It doesn't have anything other than topsoil. And I saturated them with water. And I have to tell you guys, I really wasn't sure if I really wanted to do this because of the fact that I came back from my small vacation with my grandson, and half of this, if not almost all of these, didn't look like they were going to survive. Now, let's check out these. And let's keep our fingers crossed that these were also successful. Because I don't know. I really don't. I do see roots. Actually, it's very successful. So let's see if this one was successful. And I'm going to guess it was. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go get a bowl. Let's dip this in water because I don't want to tear, and it is rooted and ruin the, come on, get out of there. There we go. Both of these were successful. Isn't that incredible? Now, we are getting out of the season, so for these to be surviving, that's pretty cool. So there's 2 of them. This one I already know was successful because I had to take a picture of it. But look at that root. And this one and this one actually bloomed for me this year. They weren't like huge blooms, but they were a bloom, which was incredible. So let's check this one out, because this one looks dead, if you ask me. I mean, the flowers are dry, this looks pretty bad. So let's just see if this one's going to survive or not. It feels like it has roots, because oh, it does. Look at that. Look at that. That is rooted. So this is going to be successful. So let's dip that in water, loosen that up. Oh my gosh, this has more roots than I had imagined. Look at that. Look at all those roots. Oh my, and this is the first time, you guys, that I have actually seen this. This is no lie. Now, again, 7 out of 9 were very, very successful. No doubt, because they were getting blooms and new foliage. But again, unfortunately, it went away. Wasn't keeping an eye on them. And I was taking them already out of the container at that point. So let's see how this one's doing. And this one actually, let me wet that. This one has absolutely no roots. It was getting some foliage right here, but this one was not successful. It's okay. I've got 4 great limelight hydrangeas, and I'm really happy about that. So what I'm going to do now, put this aside. I don't know what that is. So I already kind of looked at this one, and this is that Himalayan Honeysuckle. Now this one, oh my gosh, I'll put a picture of what it looks like right here for you. This is gorgeous, and it is a pretty good sized shrub, so I will be planting this in a container. But I looked at this thinking it didn't take root, but I see one tiny little root. Do you see that little root right there? So what I'm going to do with this to help it along and get it to root even better using the non-water method is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plant it. Now all I did was stick my finger right in here, and so there's a little hole. Before I do that, even though it's rooting, I'm going to give it a little bit of hormones, because I really want this one to be successful. So, all I do is dip it. And let me tell you, it's not just about root hormone, because I've done it. I've done it many, many times, and it never was successful. And now it is. Now, remember, this is already saturated, and if I squeeze that, you'd see drops of water. So it is pretty saturated. So this is going to go in this container. Now these cuttings right here, this hydrangeas, these ones here were actually, they're still white in the bottom. That's how you can tell. Even though this is brown here, I will be cutting it right to here. And this large leaf hydrangea is extremely, extremely fragrant. I don't know the variety of it. When it takes, because I'm going to hope that it is successful, I will do some research and figure out what the variety is. But let me show you really close. Do you see the white at the bottom? That means that this is still a healthy plant. Even though it looks brown, it's still not rotted or anything. So I could simply just put root hormone on this and continue propagating that. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut it right here and see how that takes. So what I'm going to do, oops, never prepared. Sorry about that, you guys. Had to go get a couple more things, because during my vacation I ended up showing my sister how to propagate some grapes, and so she gave me a couple of cuttings, and so I thought I'd put it in here to transfer it. Now I don't know, this could work, but I'm gonna go ahead and put it in my container and see how successful this will be. I know that people have been successful with even doing the hardwood, but really what you want is something that's a little bit more flexible, a little bit more, I guess, young, because that's where a lot of the hormones are in the plant, and especially around the node. And that's what's going to also help you to be successful. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this one more time here, and then I'm going to cut it right above the node here, and then I'm going to cut it right here. Now you want at least 1/4 of a stem up underneath the node to propagate. So let's do that. And the reason why you cut the leaves is just mainly because you don't want it to concentrate on making, putting all the energies to the foliage. You really want it to concentrate on the energy of putting all the hormones into rooting. Cut this right above the node. And the reason why I'm doing it above the node is because I'm going to go ahead and still see if this will root out over here and then put out some foliage here. Now, anytime you are doing this, make sure, or even when you're cutting from one plant to the other, make sure your nippers are clean so that you're not transferring any kind of pathogens from one plant to another. So, I will stick my finger in there. Fill that up with that. And I'm going to just gently put it in there and wrap the dirt around it. Now, it is really late in the season to be doing this, so we'll see how successful we'll be, because technically it takes about 3 months for this to actually take, and that's how long it took me anyway. It could take longer. It depends on the time of the season that you're doing it. I did it in the spring for all of my Pinnacle Hydrangeas, and they actually felt very strong 3 months later. I just left them in here for months, as you can see. I mean, I did this I think like in March, and here we are. And I'm just doing this, and the only reason I'm doing this is because I'm leaving again. I'm going on another vacation. I'm not going to hold you guys up with videos. There will be plenty to watch while I'm gone, but I am going to be going to this little tiny place called Gouda in Holland. So I'm excited about that, and I am going to be leaving. And so I just decided to go ahead and show you guys how I do this. And then I will report back to you guys. So I'm going to cut it about 1/4 inch. I'm going to take off any new starts that could possibly be starting there. Now, if you can pinch it off, that's fine, but basically use a nipper or scissors or something, because you don't want to compromise the structure of your stalk. And I'm just going to pop it right in the same little pot. So that takes care of one. I'm going to put it in here. Now these containers have, especially when they're larger, they have maybe about 1/4 of an inch of height in the center. So you want something that has that's a little elevated up from the outer part of it, because that's where the proper propagation works. And I'll go further into it in a minute. Now this one here is the mop head, and this doesn't look like it's doing anything, but it's healthy, it's green, so that does say that it's doing something. So, and especially because I'm getting a new start over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this and cut right above that new start. And it is white underneath it, so tells me that it's pretty healthy. And then I'm just going to cut it right on the top of this node. Because you don't need very much, really. be honest with you. Now I could leave them in the water and they probably would be just fine. And I will tell you how you can do that. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and do it this way. Now it does look like it wants to have a shoot out here, so I'm just going to cut it right below that. And about right there. And I'm just going to use this whole piece right here. And as far as root hormone, I don't think that you really need, I think all root hormones are just as good as another. I'm going to put those babies right in here. I absolutely love large leaf hydrangeas. And the reason why I love large leaf hydrangeas is because they are not only beautiful in the fall as much as they are when they're in bloom in the summer, but they really don't mind the sun and they don't mind the shade. Now I usually try to keep mine kind of like part shade, but you can actually put them in the sun. And they'll do fine. Unlike a lot of other hydrangeas, they're either going to be full sun or they're going to be shade. These ones can take both, and they are just gorgeous. And they get pretty sizable. I mean, they get probably 4 feet to 6 feet wide, so pretty good. Now this one doesn't look like it's like nothing's going on it, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it right over here because that looks about the healthiest. And that's white underneath it. You see that white? So that's very healthy. And I'm going to cut most of this leaf off because I really don't want it to put the energy into the leaves. I want it to put the energy to rooting. Okay, so let's do this mop head over here. This one doesn't look like not a whole lot's going on it. I'm going to just go ahead and cut it right up to here. Right on that node. Because you don't really need a whole lot, really. There you go. Put that right in there. Snug that in there. There. I actually need to open this up so you guys can see the grapes. My sister said these are black and she said they are delicious, and if I can grow some grapes that'd be awesome. This haven't been in here very long. So I'm not even going to check them out, although I'm curious. I mean, they really haven't been here just about a week, so no, I think I'll leave them. I'll let it be. In fact, I'm going to cut that little stem off because that had that thing. But we'll see how this works out. And it does have root hormone already in it. Let me clear out my table here. So let me back up a little bit. When you are propagating with water in your home, the secret to that is put it in a dark place. Do not put it where there is any direct light to it, not even filtered light. You really want it light, but you don't want direct light, if that makes sense. So once you have your water at the perimeter of all your plants, all you're going to do is you're going to cover it. And I like these that snap over it, because this way animals don't get into it or whatever. Now, if you do this and empty out your containers, make sure you wash them and scrub them so that there's no diseases or pathogens that may be lingering on it. Just wash it to reuse it. That's something I would recommend. So, you don't have to put holes in it. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is just do what I did here, and it will be successful. At least it was very successful for me, so I'm going to give it another go and see what happens. But now I will show you where I placed it. So if you have a placement anywhere in your yard or your home where you can actually place it in that has this much lighting and it's perfect all the time, that will be the right place to put it in. Otherwise, you may have to move it around a little bit. In my yard, I have to kind of play with things, but yeah, this is the perfect lighting. This is where I kept mine all spring, and it did beautifully. So before I close, I will show you exactly what I'm talking about that you really want to create inside. So the whole trick to this, and the whole secret to this really, is that you don't want any direct light in your plants. You just want to be able to see inside. You want to be able to see what's happening inside, but you don't want direct sunlight on your plants. So let's open this up and see what it looks like. So as you can see, my lid is all wet. I will touch, every now and then, I will come in here and I will touch the ground, or the dirt, excuse me, around my plants and my cuttings. Now, if the dirt does not have moisture, then you may want to just give it just a few miths of a bottle of water into your dirt. But so far, these have plenty of water. You can see the water right here. That's where you want the water level. This is the environment you want your cuttings in. This is the whole secret behind rooting and propagating cuttings. And it doesn't matter what type of cuttings. Okay, you guys, that's going to do it for me. I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I hope that you got something out of this. But more importantly, I hope you get up, get out, and get active, and actually give this a try. I promise you, if I can do this, you can do this. It's very, very simple. It's really a no-fuss way of propagating. We are approaching fall pretty soon, and so you can always put it in your home, and you can even put it in a greenhouse. The whole process is just simply creating some kind of humidity so that your plants can start doing their thing. So with that, I will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye for now.